Hello, everybody. Welcome to Sounds of 909, or welcome back if you're a lovely viewer. Me and Bryer from Breyer's Music Showcase, we have reached the third album in Black Sabbath's discography, Master of Reality, released shockingly in 1971. Doesn't even sound like it's in this. It's like I can't believe this is the same album that's in the same year as Who's Next
Hmm.
and Four. It's like
Right.
sounds like a mid to late '70s record, not a early '70s record. But Brian, you have any history, anything to say before we review?
Right. Okay, so this is pretty notable. So this is the last album with their producer Roger Bain, who produced the other two albums. So they were kind of separate after this. Let's see. This one they took a bit more time to record, as of course in the previous year they released two albums, but now they are just sticking to just one album a year now. Um, and this is definitely an interesting album because we're definitely going to hear them starting to experiment a little bit more. The first two, they kind of kept it pretty straightforward, but here they're really going to play around with more different sounds. Um, it, Again, this is the start of it, so they go way more into it later on, but this is kind of like the little beginning of it. And they did something a little bit different in terms of the instruments. I know Tony and Geezer, both of them decided to down tune their instruments. So just to make it sound more darker, more definitely more heavier sound, which you definitely hear throughout this whole album. Um, and then in terms of reception, I think at the time it didn't get that much good reviews. It was kind of I was like, oh, just another album. But nowadays it is highly regarded. It is considered one of Black Sabbath's most beloved albums they ever did. Some people say it's their favorite. It got to number 5 in the UK and number 8 here in the US. So commercially, it still did very well. So again, not a whole lot to say about the recording, but yeah, I'm was looking forward to talk about this one.
Me too. This album is very, very good. It's my opinion, a lot better than the last album, Paranoid. I don't. I'll go more into it when we review this thing, but yeah, I feel like this is a big step up. Even from their debut, this is a big step up. It's just a big step up in their catalog. Like you said, they're starting to experiment more, starting to widen their ranges.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, let's get started. The first song on the album, "Sweet Leaf."
All right, Sweet Leaf, of course, one of their most well-known tracks. It starts off with the sound of coughing, which was actually recorded by accident because I think Tony was going to record some guitar parts, but I can't remember who. I don't know if it was Ozzy or not, but somebody gave Tony like this very strong like joints, and he smoked it, and he just ended up having a huge coughing fit, which is what you hear to start the album, which pretty much sums it up because of course Sweet Leaf is about weed because they were definitely smoking a lot of it at this point. Um, and of course, this would later influence another subgenre of metal, and that will be called stoner metal. Yep, that's a thing. I haven't heard that much of it, but that's what people call it. You can guess what they talk about in that subgenre. But already you can already hear, like, before I mentioned how they down tune their instruments, you can definitely hear it here. It has a much more dirtier, more grimy sound to it, in terms of the guitars and bass, which again adds to makes it much more heavier. And the bass and the drums, again, some great playing all around. And it even has nice switch ups. Again, they're playing around with different dynamics. You have the main riff, which is iconic, but then it switches to even faster a little bit later with a great guitar solo. So yeah, this is a really great opening track and definitely deserves to be one of their most well-known songs.
It's crazy you say that. I don't hear that at all on the radio. I think it's much better than
Well,
Iron
probably
Man.
because of the subject matter.
True. I think it's a lot better than Iron Man, in my opinion. I think it's a lot better than Paranoid. I think it's a lot better than War Pigs. I think it's better than those songs. So I am happy that this is one of their more popular tunes. The coughing at the beginning is very iconic.
Mm-hmm.
You know what song's gonna be as soon as you hear it. I was telling Bryer when I was texting him before reviewing this. I said the drumming is absolutely
Mm-hmm.
fantastic. The drumming and the bass playing, I feel like they really stepped it up this album.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it was really good the first two albums, but I feel like this album they really stepped up their game. They feel like they really improved. Really good stuff. Ozzy's vocals couldn't be any better now. I feel like his voice improves more and more as time goes by through the Sabbath albums. It's just a great tune to start your album with. So far, the 3 and 3 on their album openers, if you ask
Mm-hmm.
me. Three
Yeah,
for three.
totally.
Next song on the album is After Forever.
Right. Yeah, another really good song to follow it up. The first track. So this one's a bit different lyrically. So of course, Black Sabbath, especially during this time, were often, they were called many things. Of course, they were called Satanists because, of course, they had lyrics that dealt with the occult. But funny enough, the ironic thing about it is that Geezer Butler is actually, and I think he still is, a Christian. And again, it's just more of a fascination with the occult thing, not so much he actually believes it or not. But this song actually deals with a lot of religious themes, and it's actually supposed to be kind of a pro-Christian song. And if you actually go on Wikipedia and search up this song, it actually is labeled as Christian metal, which kind of, I mean, I wouldn't consider Black Sabbath Christian metal, but take that for what you will. But again, it starts out really interesting. You have like this droning synthesizer thing to kind of build it up. But then you get into the main groove, and again, the bass work on this track is excellent. Um, and of course, again, there's many switch ups here. In this one, playing with more dynamics here, and yeah, Ozzy does a really good vocal performance on this track. And so yeah, this is definitely one of my favorites on this album. Again, very good, very memorable track, very good.
Yeah, when I first heard this track, I wasn't as into it when I first heard it, but now it's one of my favorites. This is just really good stuff. Uh, Interesting to know that this is a pro Christian song. It's funny
Mm-hmm.
the song we were just listening to before this out before reviewing this. It was like the first line was like, "I don't want to get into that Jesus stuff." I was like, "Whoa," you know. I know Jason and Scott wouldn't like to hear those lyrics.
Yeah,
So
no,
stay. It's called "Under the Sun," so stay away from that song.
right, yeah.
Unless you want to hear Black Sabbath sing that. But this song though, pretty cool. I love the beginning. Very unique for their sound. Really good. I don't have a whole lot to say about it, but it's just a really good song to follow up. Next track, I'm just gonna combine into one big track: Embryo and Children of the Grave. I mean, one's a 23-second song. So,
Mm-hmm.
what do you guys say about those two tracks together?
Yeah, I'll make Embryo quick because it is more of an interlude type of track. It's very short, but it has a very interesting guitar tone. I think the guitar tone on Embryo is definitely interesting. But yeah, it's just supposed to get you ready for the next track, which is another one of their pretty well known songs, and that is in Children of the Grave. And yeah, again, another fantastic song here. And I think Ozzy has said it's one of his favorite Black Sabbath songs, and I can see why. So this is another anti-war song. Again, this was during the Cold War, so of course nuclear war was definitely on people's minds. And the song, like the title suggests, is supposed to be a call to the youth to be able to fight corruption and stuff like that, go against the system, shall we say. But it's just this very catchy riff. Like the riff itself it's pretty awesome. It has a very fast pace to it. The bass and the drums just absolutely killing it, and it just keeps rocking out the whole time. And the outro is also very interesting, where it's kind of concludes on this very haunting feel, and you hear Ozzy whisper the name of the song, which is very cool. Little side note, I actually heard this riff before. I'm not sure if you remember, but on Cartoon Network they had a show called the Looney Tunes Show. You remember that? Oh yeah, and
Oh yeah,
yeah, and sometimes before they cut to commercial, they play like a song or whatever. And there was one called where Daffy was a wizard.
yeah. That was such
Yeah.
a fun. That was such a cool show, Looney Tunes show.
Hmm.
That's such an underrated show. I love
I
that show.
know.
It's like, yeah, it's like they're like basically like it's like Daffy and Bugs are like living together. Daffy's
Yeah,
just like
in the
crashing into
suburbs.
Bugs. It's like people like hate on that because it's the suburbs, but I think it's
Hmm.
like it reminds me of Seinfeld. It's like
Yeah, yeah,
really
totally.
cartoony Seinfeld, and it's I love that show. I'm so glad
Yeah,
you.
and yeah, it was great. I enjoyed it too. But yeah, there's a song called where Daffy Duck's a wizard, and they literally just parody the guitar riff. It's literally like it's very similar, but it's pretty cool though. Somebody on that show was a Black Sabbath fan. But yeah, awesome track.
They also Daffy's an Elton John person as well. He likes
Right,
Elton
that's
John.
true.
He's like I'm gonna run listening to my Elton John's greatest hits. It's like like one time it was like inviting him. It was like person who he wants to invite, and like Elton John was one of them.
Hmm.
It's such a funny show. I
Yeah.
bought the first two seasons. I
Uh, oh, nice.
occasionally rewatch some of those.
Mm.
One of the episodes is called "The Stud."
Oh yeah, I
Thing.
remember that one.
Whatever. It's hilarious. I thought I was the dependable one. No, I'm the dependable one. You're the Saints. Well, let's get back to Sabbath now. I
Mhm.
think these two songs complement one another. I love the darkness of the dun, 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 dun,
Mhm.
dun, 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 dun. So Black Sabbath sounding. Like
Mhm.
if you would tell me this isn't Black Sabbath, I would think you're a liar because
Mhm.
this this screams Black Sabbath.
Mhm.
Yeah, bro. And that goes beautifully into Children of the Grave. I do love that part though at the end when he's just saying Children of the Grave. It's so cool, very unique. So far on the album, we're 4 for 4. It's all amazing stuff. Uh, next two tracks again. I'm gonna consider it to be one big track. Orchard and Lord of this World. You could consider it. You Bryer could consider it whatever you want. I consider it to be one track because Orchard goes right into Lord of this World, but
Mhm.
you can review it however you like.
Yeah, I'll review both real quick. So for Orchid, definitely my favorite of the two like interlude tracks. Definitely the more acoustic piece, and it's very beautiful. I think it's pretty nice. And then it goes into Lord of this World. Very solid song all the way through. Again, another song about evil in the world, and just fighting against that and stuff like that. Very good riff on here. Again, more switch ups here, and good bass, and really great guitar solo. Yeah, I don't have a whole lot to say about, it, but it's a pretty good song on here, and yeah, I like it.
The song is awesome. These two tracks go from the great acoustic piece into the Lord of this World. One of my favorite parts of the album. I'm like, when I first heard it, well, not first heard it, when I heard this again, I'm like, why did I consider this to be a front loaded album? I don't agree with
Mhm.
Cassidy on that. I don't know if I said that during the video or if I said that off stream, but this is not a double, this is not a front loaded album. This is a complete masterpiece. But
Hmm.
yeah, this is great stuff. Love this song. Don't really have a whole lot to say about it, but great songs back to back. Next track on the album, pretty softer piece. Solitude.
Yes. So yeah, definitely somewhat of an outlier because it is a much slower track, and definitely more, you know, more more of a mood. There's more of a atmosphere to this one, and I know I think Tony has joked that this was their first real love song they actually wrote for an album, and it's technically a breakup song. But And from what I researched, this is possibly about Bill because I think he was having relationship issues behind the scenes. So I guess it was kind of written with that in mind. But it definitely had again so much. Again, not a whole lot happens to it. It just kind of keeps this whole atmosphere throughout. There's still some great bass playing on here. I think Geezer's bass on the track definitely is a highlight, and Ozzy has a much more slower, again using his more somewhat more not like a higher register, but definitely higher than how he normally sings. And there's just a little bit of delay on his vocals, um, but still pretty cool. It's always funny. I hear the song and I always forget it's Ozzy because it doesn't sound like him too much, but still it sounds very good for the track. And also there's some flute playing on here, also done by Tony. So yeah, that's kind of cool, I'd say. So again, it's not one. It didn't. Again, this one's probably somewhere in the middle, but I think this is still a very nice song here, and yeah, it's very nice.
That's cool. Yeah, it's a really good song. Probably my least favorite off this album, but that doesn't
Mhm.
take away from it at all. Still very solid song by them. Really good, really good. Not like I said, not the key highlight, but it's a nice soft song after all that madness that's going on in this
Mm.
album. Having like a
Mhm.
full soft song, like Orchid is like it's soft, but like it's like a minute of it. But like this is like
Mhm.
a full 5 minutes of just relaxation after that. This is like
Mhm.
to me, this is a lot better than, in my
Planet
opinion,
Caravan.
yeah, it's a lot better than Planet Caravan.
Mhm.
I'd
I
rather
agree.
it's like Planet Caravan. It's all right, but I feel like I don't know. It's just it's
We said that I said in the last episode, but for Planet Caravan, you kind of need to be high to really enjoy it. This for Solitude, you don't really need to be. You just enjoy the feeling.
yeah. You could be sober to enjoy
Yeah.
it, which is good. Uh, last song in the album, "Into the Void."
All right. Into the Void. This is a very great one. This is I'm just gonna say it's my favorite on the album. I think this is a excellent closing track. Probably my favorite of their closing tracks as of now. But yeah, it's the longest on the album, and I know the song is also highly regarded. I know a lot of people have cited it as their favorite Black Sabbath song. James Hetfield of Metallica has said it's his favorite Black Sabbath song. I know Eddie Van Halen has said it's one of his favorites. And again, totally get why. Again, an awesome guitar riff to start it off, and the bass and the drums just so heavy. It starts out very mid tempo before it just ramps up very quickly, and you have a different riff on here. It's much faster, and then it keeps going back to the main riff. It's just absolutely spectacular, and lyrically, it's pretty straightforward. It's about just a man just trying to flee from the destruction on Earth, and just gets on makes a spaceship and just goes out. He's out of here. But yeah, it's a awesome track. Definitely very good. Like I said, it's one of my favorites. It's probably my favorite on this album.
I concur. This is an amazing song on the album. Yeah, when I first heard the song, I thought it was really good. Not one of my favorites, um, but my coworker from my old
Mm-hmm.
coworker from ACR, he was singing along to it. He's like, "Yeah, this is one of the greatest Black Sabbath songs of all time. You should listen to it more." I'm like, "I should. I really should." And I agree. This is really good. I'm not gonna tell you where it's on my ranking now, but
Mm-hmm.
it is a really good song. Well, we reached the end. What is your five favorite songs? Honorable mention or dishonorable mention?
Right. Okay, so I'll go ahead. So my top five. So at number five, I have Solitude. Number four, Sweet Leaf. Number three, After Forever. Number two, Children of the Grave. And number one, Into the Void. And I'll give an honorable mention today, and I'll say Lord of this World is an honorable mention.
Cool, 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 cool. Yeah. For me, like I said, I combined the
Mm-hmm.
shorter tracks into one, so this will be more of a ranking of the song, so I'll just do it that way. 6 would be Solitude, 5 would be Embryo slash Children of the Grave, number 4 would be Sweet Leaf, number 3 I'd say After Forever, 2 would be Orchid, Lord of this World, and my favorite, or Into the Void. I
Mm-hmm.
agree. Best song on the album, and it's currently my favorite Sabbath album. I mean, my favorite Sabbath song as of now.
Cool.
Talking about the first 3 albums, and
Mm-hmm.
my top 10 has changed. Like I said, every video I'm gonna, if it drastically changed, I'm gonna update on the top 10. So my top 10 is now Embryo, Children of the Grave, Hand of Doom, Nib, Sleeping Village, Sweet Leaf, Jack the Stripper, Fairies Wear Boots, Wicked World, After Forever, Orchid, Lord of this World, and my favorite Sabbath song, Into the Void.
Mm-hmm.
Very well. I will say my top 10 does change again going into the next album
Right.
drastically, very drastically. It's like I'm not gonna say, but there are quite a bit of Volume 4 songs that are towards the top of my list. Um, what is your album rating?
Okay. So yeah, it was kind of hard to rate it because again, I will say of the first 6 albums, this is definitely the one I play the least for some reason. I don't know why. It's just that I usually gravitate to the other albums more. But again, just kind of going back into this album, kind of re-listening to it, I can't deny it. This is still a terrific album, and yeah, I totally see why people will say it's their favorite. Again, there's a lot of great stuff on here. So right now, I'm not sure where it's gonna rank, but right now I'm gonna rate it a 9 out of 10. So I've had 3 9 out of 10s this series so far. That will change. That will change soon. So there you go.
Yeah, well, I'm not sure about Volume 4. I don't think that's gonna be a 10 out of 10 yet
Mm,
because of one particular track. Uh, I give this a 10 out of 10 because every song on
mm-hmm.
this is so gosh darn good. It's just one masterpiece after another, in my opinion. There's like not a second wasted on this thing. There's not 1 second where I'm like, this is not, this is pointless, but
Mm-hmm.
much better than their previous album, in my opinion. I also don't listen to this album as much as I do some of the others. After listening to this and the next album, Volume 4, I listen to the least amount for some reason.
Mm,
I don't get why. Kind of like you, I'm like, I wonder why I don't listen to this as much. This is
mm-hmm.
good music, really, really good music. But stay in tuned because our next review is going to be on their fourth album, aptly named Volume 4.
Right.
I am hyped to review that thing.
Mm-hmm.
That review is going to be so good. I love that album. It just barely edged into my top 100 albums after re-listening to it this today, and yeah, very excited for that. Excited for that review.
Same
That's good.
here.
Yeah, very excited. So thank you guys for watching this video. I'll see you guys in the next one. So long.